Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday's study. Sophisticated study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I call it a study. What do you call it? We're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's qualified. I also call it a show. It's a Srimad Bhagavatam show. Which is
discussion.
We discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. How are you, Prabhu?
Good. I'm getting in the mood for the Christmas extravaganza coming up. We're just about a week away from, at least for myself, going to India. Now it's just starting to set in.
It's all getting real, isn't it? Before I go to India, I'm taking the kids up to the Waitsfield Inn. Where else can you go get a prasadam bed and breakfast in Vermont? That's the Waitsfield Inn in Waitsfield, Vermont.
Place.
It's the only place in Vermont to get prasadam for breakfast. I'm taking the kids. We're going snowboarding. Going to meet up with Kelly Skinner. We're going to do some kirtan at Kelly Skinner's new place in Burlington.
Nice.
I'm going to try to drag Mara up there too. Going to sneak away. She looks very excited today, doesn't she? Look at Mara today. Good morning, Mara.
She's basking in the sun.
Mara's here spinning the dials. Enthusiastic as ever. And I have an announcement. Last call, my trip to Nepal is closing out. It's a 3/13 to 3/25, March 13th to the 25th. If you're interested, go to raghunath.yoga and sign up. This is our third annual one. It's a great trip trekking through the Himalayas, filled with kirtan, yoga, and breathtaking. You know what's happening right now? I'm getting a message from my son. How sweet is this? My 15-year-old is texting me saying, "I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to snap at you."
Oh, yeah. 15-year-old kids aren't supposed to do that kind of thing.
15-year-old kid. That is so sweet. I was really hurt this morning because he snapped at me, and he just sent me a text. He said, "Thanks for lunch. I didn't mean to snap at you this morning." Oh, I needed that today. I was a little down. That
just lifted you up just in time for the show, Raghunath.
It did. It did. How sweet to get that text message.
Now, there are more announcements to make today.
What else we got, Mara?
We got Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today. The men meet at 1 and the women meet at 2 o'clock. And then, Kastuba, do you want to tell a little bit about the Live to Give campaign?
There's a Live to Give campaign.
That's like a straight edge band. We're Live to Give.
Well,
we believe in positive living, clean, no drinking, no smoking,
and giving,
animal rights, and giving to other people all the time. We're called Live to Give. What do they do?
Live to Give campaign is a campaign with the goal of distributing 3 million Bhagavad Gitas this month. Right? Yeah.
Who's gonna read all those Bhagavad Gitas?
3 million people or more. 3 million is nothing, actually. It's a drop in the bucket. It's like less than one for every
as long as they
100
read
people
them.
in America.
As long as they read them. Although sometimes they don't read them. They're like, "Thanks for nothing." And they put them on their shelf and someone else reads them.
It happens all the time.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. A book is a beautiful thing, especially the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And so the idea here is that there's 3 ways that you can participate in this. Number 1, you can get a case of softbound Bhagavad Gita. There's 24 books in a case, and you can just distribute them any way that you want. That's one way.
Give them as Christmas presents. 1 case of Bhagavad Gitas.
Yeah,
You're
24
still
people.
some of you people still haven't shot for Christmas presents yet. You're like,
Right
what
there.
should I do? What am I going to get them? You know what? There's a book of knowledge. I thought you'd like it.
Here you
It's
go.
like, here's a book of knowledge. I thought you'd like it. You seem sort of wise.
Okay. Now, the second thing you can do is you can sponsor a case of softbound Bhagavad Gitas. Again, it's 24 in the case, and they will be distributed for you. You just have to say, where do you want to go? I want to send it to a hospital. I want to send it to frontline workers. I want to send it to a prison, to motels, to libraries, wherever you want to. They're going to send it there. You don't even have to know. You could just say, I want to send it to a prison. We'll take care of it for you. That's how it works, right? And then the third thing is you can send a copy of the Gita or any number of copies to whoever you want to send it to, and they will send it where you want it to go.
Wow. There's a whole team of people doing this.
Yeah, well, we've been doing this for I think this is our 3rd year we're doing this.
I get it. I'm playing dumb to spark conversation.
Well,
I know what's happening.
do you know the name of the person that you call?
Ingrid?
It's on the chat
It's
board.
not Ingrid.
It's not Ingrid, okay.
It's Malini.
Malini.
Out there in Silicon Valley. She's a wonderful lady, and she's literally just sitting there waiting for your call. She just
sitting
wants
by
it.
her. Operators are standing by. Call Malini at 669-289-5563.
Again,
669-289-5563.
you can
That's the
text,
Bhagavad Gita
WhatsApp,
hotline.
or call Malini at that line. And then she just works it out with you. You know, she's like, makes it easy for you. Well, I want to give like 11 copies and 3 of them to this person. And she's going to make it work for you. She's patient and helpful. And she likes nothing more than helping you pump out some Bhagavad Gitas to the world. So live to give.
What the world needs now is transcendental wisdom. That's what
Okay.
we're all lacking a little.
Now, speaking of transcendental wisdom, there's another announcement I have to make.
Okay.
And that is that yesterday the doors closed for this segment of the Sage groups.
Windows are shut.
Windows are shut. They'll open up after another 18 weeks. We'll do it all over again.
Maybe.
Okay.
You might have missed the boat forever.
I hope not. But I just want to let everyone know, if you have registered for a Sage group, you will be informed what group you made it in on the 23rd of December. That's just a few days away. This Friday. So like when you go to the Christmas extravaganza, you're going to know what group you're in.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. So that news is coming. Just hang on till Friday.
All right. That's very, very good news.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's the time to shame our members into giving more for Patreon. What do you say?
No.
Shame. Who those are giving $1? We're worth more than $1, at least $1 to him and $1 to me. Come on. What's the matter with you people? It's a community supported podcast. Just kidding. Give if you like. We want to thank all the people that have given and are support us. We thank you. It's a community supported podcast. We have a great community. Help keep this boat floating down the transcendental Ganga by going to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Give from your heart.
Okay. Let's move on to the nugget, Raghunath. What do you say?
Oh, we've Jesus week this week.
That's right.
And here's the nugget. It's from Ephesians. Here's the nugget. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Read that again. Ready?
Yeah.
Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen.
Share your thoughts on this, Raghunath.
It sort of reminds me of that Bhagavad Gita verse, keep all abominable thoughts far away from devotional service. That's first thing that came up. But
Okay. Unwholesome and abominable, you kind of saw a connection there.
Abominable snowmen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a.
I guess you were not letting anything out of your mouth there for a while.
Well, I
You're
got a
gonna
lot
make
of
sure whatever came
abominable
out was
things that
wholesome.
want to come out right now.
Okay.
But it's the ratio of the size of the mouth compared to the rest of the body. The mouth is just a tiny part of the body. But
Small.
with this mouth, we can either cause incredible havoc. This tiny little hole causes tiny, massive amounts of havoc, or massive amounts of love and growth and evolution. But it comes down to the whole system of yogas. It really depends on how settled the mind is, peaceful the mind is, unencumbered the mind is, resentful the mind is, joyful the mind is. Depending on the mind, it's going to create what spills out of this little tiny hole. And from that creates vibrations, which create the world or destroy the world. So here's a warning. Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. Unwholesome talk comes from unwholesome thoughts. And here's where yoga comes into play, which is sort of excavating the mind, pulling out all the garbage of the mind, all the garbage in the consciousness. So the mind just becomes very placid and clear and becomes not a hindrance. Like a window is very clear. It just allows the sun to come in once I scrub it. And what's the sun in this case? It's the beauty, the depth, the wisdom, the eternality, the inherent knowledge of the spirit. That's our default. Isn't that great news? I thought my default was I'm a sinful demon. It's not. You're not sinful. You're not born sinful. You're not born evil. You're actually pure. Everybody you know is pure. They just forgot, right? Like the light is always pure. But according to our activities, we dirty the window. So hearing, chanting, meditation, the whole yoga system is a process of cleaning the window so that sunlight can come through. And who owns that sunlight? Every living being, not just the Hindus, not just the Christians, not just Islam, not just the humans. Every living being is a pure spirit soul that has just forgot. And a yoga system is here to make us remember. And then once it's clean, watch out. The nectar starts spilling out of the mouth, not the unwholesome talk.
Yeah, throughout the ages and in all the different wisdom traditions, you hear this message about your words and how you use them. It's like we have this faculty. It's interesting to think of it this way, like we've been given a power, and that power is to form words, and through those words, transmit thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And just like like I suppose as a parent, like anytime your kid gets some facility that's like new and powerful, you sit down, you have a little talk with them, right? Like they get keys to the car, right?
Right.
And you sit down and say, okay, well, now you got to be really responsible now. This is dangerous. It costs a lot of money. It's, you can hurt someone with this. You can hurt yourself, so you got to be serious. You got to really think about it. You can't just be frivolous with it, and these wisdom traditions are telling us that your power of speech is like that, right? You got to be careful with this. Really think about how you use it. Don't just, because our tendency, I think, is not to think about it, to just use it in any frivolous way. But these wisdom traditions are drawing our attention to the power of the words that we speak and the words that we hear, and these two faculties, right? That the faculty to speak words and the faculty to hear words, they're really very powerful, very effective in either binding us, further in illusion, or releasing us from it.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're the complete opposite. Same mouth.
It just depends how it's powerful one way or another. It's just a question of which way you're going to use it.
It's like electricity. It either burns or it freezes.
It can freeze, it can burn. Yeah,
Freeze or burn.
It can do either way. And so we hear this call, be careful what you speak, be careful what you hear. And a yogi this is a big part of their discipline,
Sure.
Have you ever done Mona Vrata, Raghunath?
You know what? I did.
Vow of silence?
I did it for one day on the Youth of Today tour. This is before I even knew what Mona Vrata was.
I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, no, not
The rest of the band was like,
not out of pouting,
okay.
not because I was
I'm
pouting,
not saying
but
pouting.
no. Well, I was on a spiritual quest,
Yeah,
even
okay.
in my young teenage days, and I felt like the words that I still am, but I was really cruel and sarcastic and funny. That was my thing. I just like rip into people, make other people laugh. But the problem with it is it's always at someone's expense.
Yeah.
And the more I did that, the more I got to this point in my
Start
life
to
where
feel
I
a little crummy.
I
Sorry.
hate myself. I hate
Yeah.
what, and I started noticing like I hate what comes out of my mouth,
Mm.
and I'm sick of it, and I'm hurting people's feelings. And I decided I'm gonna just stop speaking because it's too toxic. I lasted about 24 hours, which was pretty good.
You didn't know how long you were going to go?
I didn't know. All I know was like something. It was some deep insight without reading about stuff like this, but the idea was like stuff's coming out of my mouth that is not good stuff. How do I change that?
That's sick feeling you had there. That's a healthy feeling, right?
Yeah, it's like the feeling of like eating a bag of potato chips. I was telling you yesterday, like I don't tell my kids not to eat junk food. I say you eat it, but just notice how you feel afterwards.
Mhm.
Make that connection.
Right.
So yeah, I started to notice.
But when you're a kid,
now.
you kind of feel great. It doesn't matter.
I feel pretty good. And I'm looking pretty good too. No, I don't think anybody feels good after eating that. In the same way, I don't think people feel good when they criticize one person and make 10 other people laugh. They don't feel good, but they're in so much illusion. They don't recognize it. But when you point it out, notice how you feel. And it was becoming obvious. I don't feel good. Even though I made everybody else laugh, I was becoming sensitive to the one person I wasn't. And I think that was sort of like one of my first wake-up calls in careful what you say.
Nice. All right, Raghunath. Thank you for sharing that.
All right to you. Did you do all your Christmas shopping?
I got a little bit more to do.
Yeah? What'd you get for me?
You'll find out.
Yeah? Did he get me something?
I already told you I got you something.
I know.
But it's used. I'm just putting that out there. It's used, but as good as new.
Uh-huh. All right. As good as new. What does that mean?
That's easy. It's as good as new. It's like,
all right. Okay. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting our Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all those troubles from the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midadamnena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Mara.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 36.
Chapter 30?
Yep.
And why don't we take just a step back and look again at text 35, which was an interesting one, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, but they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety or fear. You know what I'm going to do this year, Kostuba? For my New Year's resolutions, which I'm really into.
You're going to discuss topics?
I'm going to just be very selective of what podcasts I download.
Oh. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, Raghunath.
Yeah.
From the BBC World. What's it called? BBC World? BBC World Service.
Yeah. How was that?
Death in Varanasi.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, interesting. Was
it like everybody's dying because that's where the famous burning ghats are, or is it?
It was just about what's happening there, and it was they were interviewing different priests or people that ran different ashrams or people that came there with their family, telling the story of, the wishes of their parents, how they wanted to die there. It was interesting. I haven't, yeah, but that's a good idea. Be very careful what podcasts you listen to, Raghunath.
I'm taking a group to Varanasi in October.
Great.
I'm excited. Looking forward to it. Lori Pag's going.
Okay, but so you're saying you're being careful what podcasts you listen to.
I'm careful. I'm going to be careful because I feel like I become what I do on my downtime, what I consume through my ears on my downtime. Back to what's coming out of your mouth. It really depends what's coming into your ears. So I'm going to be a little bit more, like a person gets gluten-free. They're very careful what they put in their mouth. I want to be very, very careful what I'm consuming through my ears. And I listen to podcasts. So.
And here's like the positive side. Here we're going to get a bit of a glorification, because remember, these yogis, the prachetas, they were offered any benediction by Lord Vishnu. And at first they just said, our benediction is just when you're happy. Your satisfaction is our benediction. We're not asking anything from you. We just, if there's anything we can do to please you, that's when we feel that's our benediction. And he kind of prodded him, no, ask for something. And then they said, well, you know what? Okay, then wherever we go in our journey throughout this material world, taking births in different bodies and different speed, whatever it may be, we just want to be around your devotees who are speaking your glories. That's all that we ask. Right? And then one may say, well, why? Right? Like, what's the benefit to that? What's so great about that? Why do you need to? Why are you asking for that? And they said that, with even a moment's association with someone like that, it can't be compared to going up even to the success, right? The material success of reaching the heavenly planets. Or even with moksha, even with merging into the Brahman. Even just a moment's association with a bhakta, right? Someone that actually has love for Krishna. It's way more valuable. It doesn't disappear, the value that you get with that person, right? It's eternal. And so, and now they're going on and they're describing, the how you feel, what the effect is of being around people that are vibrating transcendental messages, right? So here we get it. Here it says, the word here used is kata mrishtas. Kata means one's words, one's talk, and mrishta means pure. So wherever there are pure words, they're saying, right? Wherever there are pure words, then they say, trishnaya prasamaha, that your material hankerings are satisfied. In other words, you're not bothered by your material hankerings anymore. Like your material hankerings just ease, right? Normally we're just walking around full of them, right? But if you hear this message, if you hear these pure words, spiritual messages, then you're naturally, it just eases that pressure that we're feeling all the time. And then it goes on and it says, nirviram, that envy or animosity just is removed. And also fear, udvega, not udvega, that there's no fear in that assembly. So we can create, it's in a sense of saying, these are all kind of like descriptions of the spiritual world, right? You're not hankering for anything. You're not fearing anything. There's no animosity or envy. Everyone's getting along with each other. It's kind of saying you can create the spiritual realm within the material realm by vibrating spiritual sound. That's the message. I think that's a takeaway for today there, Mary. How's that? You can create the spiritual world in the material world by vibrating spiritual sound. Right? It's effective. It's powerful. It's real.
It's that association with the sound, with the sadhus, with the great souls. It's like taking a curly tail of a dog and straightening out. And you just hold that tail out there. It's like, look, my dog has a straight tail. And it sort of looks like that. But the power of the material energy is so strong. All you need to do is associate with Maya. Get ready, everybody. We're going home for the holidays. And we're going to associate with, sometimes we resort to some dynamic we had with our parents 30 years ago. Sometimes we get around another sibling that triggers us. Sometimes we get in a place where we feel unsafe, or we get into just completely mundane conversation. Or sometimes when I hang out with people I haven't hung out with, I just become who I was in another life, so to speak. And it's like letting go of that tail. It just snaps right back as if I've done no work ever on myself.
Okay.
And so we got to be very, and I've seen this happen to myself, to other people that I love. It's
Mm.
almost unbelievable how quick we can become everything we hate with bad association.
Mm.
And so it is really important in our life. And if you know you're going to go into this holiday season like this, if you're like, it's coming, I know it, it's coming. As soon as I get on that Amtrak train, I already feel it overwhelmed. I feel the walls closing in on me. If you feel like that, bring some type of first aid kit, emergency kit. Bring a little Bhagavad Gita with you. Listen to some lectures before. Catch your tongue when things be able to walk away from a group, because that bad association can make us resort to becoming the person we don't want to be, especially around people that we're deeply connected to through the body or through ties of love. This verse is so timely in the holiday season right now. And the converse is true. If you can really go in there protected, armed with all the stuff that you've learned through the wisdom literature and imbibing all this stuff, it can be quite impressive. Not with that lecturing your family, but just by being of integrity. Don't speak when you're getting triggered. Just catch your tongue. It's quite impressive. Kostuba did. He went home for the 60th anniversary last week.
Mhm.
Did you feel like you were protected within a spiritual bubble, or did you feel triggered?
I felt different things.
Oh, different emotions.
Yeah.
It depends.
Depends.
It's amazing how powerful that family has to trigger.
But I'll say this, that when there were opportunities to speak on spiritual matters, it felt refreshing, and it felt good.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Let's see what the world's got planned for me this holiday season.
This is an extravaganza.
Sometimes it works out real. You know what? I really love my family for 2 hours, 2 solid hours. I can be really good for them, and they're good for me, and it's all working out good. And when it's
just got to know when to duck out.
You got to just know when to get out. And I think that's true with any type of a satsang, you know what I mean? Problematic association. You got to know how to contain your boundary of what comes out of your mouth, of what you let in your mind, and how you got to keep your composure in sort of dangerous waters. And that's sort of like what we're doing as yogis. We're just trying to protect what goes in the ears, what's affecting us, how we're getting triggered, what comes out of our mouth, no matter who we come in contact with. And eventually, if we're really, really fixed up in our spiritual life, we're just giving the association. This is another Christ-like thing, right? Christ is hanging out with the tax collectors and the prostitutes, not to take their association, but to give them his association.
Nice.
That's how we transform.
Well, you use this term asatsanga, right?
Yeah.
The
asat.
Yeah.
The sangha of the asat, of people speaking about the temporary world.
Asatsanga tyaga.
A Vaishnavachar.
There you go.
Asat sang tyaga, a Vaishnavachar.
Yeah, it's kind of, in one sense, it defines a Vaishnava, right? That they're careful who they associate with, right? They kind of tyaga means they renounce asatsanga. They renounce that association that has no value, right? That has no spiritual value.
So,
okay, so we're continuing now with why. Why are you asking for, of all benedictions? Why were you saying, all we ask is that wherever we're born, however many times it is, that we can just be around people that are talking about you, talking about Lord Vishnu. What's so great about that? Well, we heard that that the value of it is better than the heavens, it's better than moksha, and we heard that when within the realm of those pure words that such people speak, our material hankerings subside, envy disappears, fear disappears. And then there's another thing that I could mention.
What happens? What else happens?
That you feel the presence of Vishnu, or you feel the presence of Krishna directly, just through that sound. Text 36.
The Supreme Lord Narayan is present amongst the devotees who are engaged in hearing and chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Narayan is the ultimate goal of sannyasis, those in the renounced order of life, and Narayan is worshipped through this Sankirtan movement by those who are liberated from material contamination. Indeed, they recite the holy name again and again. That's what we're doing.
What's
Isn't it
that?
interesting? We're doing exactly what the book says.
We just have to do it more. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but they say Narayan is present among the devotees who are engaged in hearing and chanting his holy names. This reminds, there's a verse from the Padma Purana where Vishnu, or maybe it's Krishna, speaking to Narada. Say, my dear Narada,
Right.
actually, do you know this one? Actually, I do not reside in my abode Vaikuntha. Right? When we think, oh, this is like kind of like this is a really interesting verse, because I think what it's trying to do is break us a little bit from our superficial type of thought, right? Like, okay, where do you see Lord Vishnu? Well, you have to go to Vaikuntha, into the spiritual realm. That's where you see him. He's saying, it's not that he's not there. Although he's saying I'm not there, he's making a point, right? So he's saying, don't think of me as being there, in a sense, is what he's saying. That's how I understand it, right?
Sure.
So my dear Narada, actually, I do not reside in my abode Vaikuntha, nor do I reside within the hearts of the yogis. Interesting, right? Like he's saying, don't think of me this way, don't think of me that way, but I reside in that place where my pure devotees chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities. Nama, Guna, Rupa, Lila, all those, right? Interesting, isn't it not, Raghunath?
It's very, very interesting.
It's another verse substantiating this idea that, hey, okay, we're in a bad situation here, right? We're trapped in a world that's full of discord. It's full of conflict. It's full of suffering, right? And we are made for spirit. We're made for the spiritual realm, where there is no fear, where there's no suffering, where there is no conflict. And this verse, the way that I understand it, is saying, don't think I need to escape this world and get to that world. Because it's really a question of, it's not so much a question of geography. It's a question of consciousness. And so if you can change your consciousness, it doesn't matter where you are. When you enter into that consciousness, you enter into the presence of God, right? So he's saying, I don't reside in my abode Vaikuntha. Of course he resides there, but he's saying, just, set aside that superficial thought, right? I don't even reside within the hearts of the yogis. Set aside that type of thought, and try to understand that just by the especially like a group effort, right? Because he says, I reside in that place where my pure devotees, they chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities, using this voice box, right? Vibrating spiritual sound, hearing it, speaking it, just creating that vibration. Wherever you keep that vibration alive, then you feel the presence of Vishnu, you feel the presence of Krishna. Right?
Hence,
simple as that.
Hence, me and Mara have been binge watching.
Yes.
What's it called, Mara? Oh, Shantaram.
I don't know if that qualifies.
No, it doesn't qualify.
Oh, okay.
My point is, Shantaram is a book about this long story, but the guy ends up in India. He's sort of recovered drug addict. He becomes a doctor. And
he's escaped prison.
It's escaped prison. Yeah. So, and he robbed a bank, stuff like that. Yeah. But it's a true story, and they made a TV series
based on a
TV,
true story. Yeah.
Based on a true story.
Yeah.
And he's in Bombay, and he's sort of hiding out from the law, and he gets into this whole Bombay underworld of, prostitution rings and human trafficking and the slums and what else? The Gundas, the Gunda wars and politicians and the corruption.
Gangsters.
And it's so what's that?
Gangsters,
the Gundas, the gangsters. But if you were to ask me in Kastuba, what do you think of Bombay? We'd be like, Bombay is the most beautiful, wonderful city in the world. Because when we fly into Mumbai, we're flying in there to see Guru. We're flying in there to see, Radha Gopinath. We're going to the temple. We're surrounding ourselves by people chanting the holy name all times. Bombay it's a mess. It's overwhelming. It's dirty. The traffic's crazy. There's nonstop honking. It's polluted. Sometimes, you know, on your iPhone, sometimes it'll say the weather,
Yeah.
right? And it'll say, you know, sunny, rainy. In Bombay, it'll just say smoke. Ever
It's-
notice that? Just a smoke. I'm like, what? That's not a description of the weather. It's just a smoke.
I
And
think
so it's one of
Mumbai
these
has
things like
kind of reached this level of air pollution right now that's like almost tops in the world.
right?
Yeah.
But because there's hearing and chanting there, you feel like I'm in the spiritual world.
You know, Raghunath, you get my heart. You're churning my heart right now because it's
Am
been.
I churning that?
Yeah, because it's just been 3 years since I've been back.
Oh,
Right,
my
because I haven't been back there
gosh.
since COVID. Right, since before COVID,
Wow,
and
that's
I'm
right.
going there in a week. You know, but it is it's a beautiful example, right? Like, right in the middle of that city, tucked away, right in this little nook, is that Radha Gopinath temple.
And I can say, like, it's by the Arabian Sea. The Arabian Sea is a mess. The beaches in Bombay are a mess. Don't ever swim in the beaches in Bombay. But there it is.
Little jewel, right, tucked away.
A little jewel tucked away. And because that's our focus, that's what we find. So if we can refine that focus and go into the slums, into the hell, into the chaos, there's that jewel. And if you just associate with that jewel, that becomes like your consciousness.
I was thinking, go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't feel like you're in the material world any longer.
There's the point, right? In other words, even if you go back historically, like you and I have been going there long enough that we
Right.
remember some of the early stages of that temple, relatively
Yeah.
early stages of that temple, where it was still like an orphanage underneath, which has now moved out to the country, right? And I think when they took over that building, they had to take over the orphanage, and it's beautiful, you know, the care that they have for those boys and the lives
Yeah.
that they're living now. But you know, it was kind of like a simple. They just had like one little room there, and it was a tough beginning. I won't go into all the details, but it was a tough beginning. But Ratna Swami just had this conviction: if we continue to serve and to speak on a high level, hear and speak, we'll create something special here, right? Right here in the midst of the material mess, we'll create, you know, that beautiful garden that they have right there. It used to just be a big rubbish heap, like massive.
There's a rubbish heap that they turn
you know?
into a beautiful garden.
Yeah, and you know, I heard this wonderful story. You probably heard it before, but you know, if you're facing the Radha Gopinath temple on that little street, that little side street, if you're facing the temple, like say standing outside, on your left is the hill, and on the top of that hill is the Bubblenath temple, this ancient Lord Shiva temple, right? Many centuries old.
When it was just jungles, that whole area was just jungles, and there was that Shiva temple on the hill.
And then if you look to your right on the corner, you have, what is it? The Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan?
Yeah. Another
Which is-
classic Indian Vedic culture
Institute.
institute.
And Prabhupada spoke at that Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan.
Oh,
Did you don't know this story?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So Sham Sundar Prabhu, who was the first person that gave Radha Swami Prasad, and later they became close friends, right? He was asked to speak at the Radha Gopinath temple, and for the first time for him. And he was speaking to a large crowd of, you know, thousands of people there. Beautiful community, you know, just such a beautiful community. And he was crying when he was speaking. And then he began to tell this story. Why? And he said, because I was with Prabhupada in the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in 71 or 2 or something like that. And we walked out the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is kind of on the corner.
Sure.
And I even think the entrance is kind of like on the corner, if I remember correctly, right? And so you kind of walk out that door and down those steps to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And as they were coming down those steps, as you're coming down those steps, you're looking right down the one block that's between the Bubblenath temple and the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. You look, you know, there's that space there. It's relatively small. It's basically one city block. And he said, Prabhupada said, we should have a temple here.
You're kidding. I never heard the story.
Yeah. And so let's say he probably spoke there in the mid-90s. It was probably 25 years later.
Right.
And not only was there a beautiful temple there, I mean, it's such a, you know, it's a temple that the building used to be just a box. unattractive
A beautiful temple.
architecturally. It's been transformed into a beautiful sandstone temple with just a, it's just so tasteful and sweet and beautiful, everything there.
Prabhu,
And
are you doing the analogy of our consciousness right now? Is that
well,
what's going on? Are you
I'm
about to
just,
paint
I'm
a picture
just,
of my contaminated garbage-like mind and
no,
how it can
well,
be transformed through the
well,
process
you
of
could do
hearing
that.
and chanting?
You could take it that way. And yeah, like that's the internal way. I was, in one sense, I was speaking on the external level, like that a small community of people just got together with really high standards,
Okay.
of what we speak and what we hear. I remember the first time that I went there, I was really, and I think for this was the case for many people, we were really blown away by what we would call like the Vaishnava culture there, right? Like, in other words, the kindness of the community, the
Mm.
the humility of the community, and the genuine like elevated consciousness that like we're not caught up in the cycles that most of the material world is caught up in, cycles of envy, cycles of criticism, cycles of anger, cycles of resentment. Like we're not caught up in that. We decide to get our minds caught up on hearing and chanting this spiritual transcendental matter. We decided to get caught up in the cycles of service, and you would really, it was to this day so tangible there that to me it's a beautiful testament to the power of what you speak and what you hear and how transformative it can be. So when he came out, so when he's sitting there in that temple and speaking to like probably, I don't know how many people fit in when you spread the whole thing out, but and you have all the people downstairs and everything, but it's like a couple thousand people, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
He's crying because it's not only was there a temple there, but it's such a beautiful temple, such a beautiful community, just a beautiful thing to see.
Another good little lesson out of your story is whatever comes out of your mouth, you're going to attract certain people. If you don't like the people you're hanging out with, guess what? You're calling them to you.
Mm.
And, if you have transcendental things coming out of your mouth on a regular basis, you're going to attract a transcendental universe. If you have, backbiting, nasty, sarcastic, rude, etc., you're going to attract people that are attracted to that. In the same way, if you're attracted to sports, talking about sports all the time, you'll find a sports fan coming to talk to you. And if you're talking about transcendental things, you're going to develop a transcendental friends. It's just going to happen.
And
all
then
right.
satsanga tyaga becomes easy, right? It's not so hard to let go of the things that you were all about in the past, right? Like you thought my happiness is derived from being in that sangha, from being in that association, from discussing these things, from easy to let it go, It's powerful stuff. And then text 37 is the last reason they're going to give why they just want to be around that association. They say it purifies us.
Dear Lord, your personal associates, devotees, wander all over the world to purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. What? It is not such activity. Is not such activity pleasing to those who are actually afraid of material existence?
It is. And again, I see this verse similar to the one we heard from the Padma Purana, where it's kind of like, trying to crack the superficial religious thought that we're prone to, right? Like the superficial religious thought is, let me go to the holy place because my sins will go away. Let me bathe in the holy river because because it says right here in the holy book that when you do that, all your bad karma is getting washed away. And that's what I want so that I can be happier. Well, here it's saying like, don't think of the holy place like that. Actually think of the holy people, right? And
when you go to the holy place, you got to find the holy people.
Find the holy people. That's what makes the holy place holy,
Sure.
And it's saying that, and it's showing us that it's another way of showing us that deeper spiritual practice has so much to do with how you see and understand and honor other people, right? Rather than just, of course, there's that 11th canto verse, Archya meva harye, pujam ye shradhayate, tad bhakteshu chanyeshu, sa bhakta prakrita smritaha. That a person that's just, let's say when you say prakrita bhakta, it really means a materialistic bhakta, a materialistic devotee. It means someone that's they're wearing the badge, right? They're wearing the uniform. They've joined the club in a sense,
But
right? On
right.
external,
They haven't surrendered their ego.
They haven't surrendered the ego. Yeah, they haven't. Their practice, their spiritual practice, is still very superficial.
We're not interested in people joining the club.
Yeah.
Just surrender the ego. Then you're already in the club. You already have platinum membership. We don't care what you wear, what your haircut's like, what your career is, what kind of
And then
shirt you do or do not have.
And the difference, well, this is describing the differences. It's saying that superficial beginner bhakti yogis, they see God in the temple.
Okay.
Right. Archya Mevahariya, in the form, the carved form, because it's carved and it looks just like him, right? It looks, oh, okay, there's Krishna, right? And the worship is focused, there's the center. And one thinks, I have this relationship with God here in this temple. That's for real. But they don't have the sensitivity to see God within the hearts of others, right? That's something more subtle, and that's the sadhu. That's the deep person. That's not the beginner. That's someone who's advancing in this, right? That they're not thinking that God is just in that building, right? They're thinking that building, going and seeing God in that building, the purpose of it is so that when I step out of that building, I'm reminded and better capable of seeing God in the heart of every living being. I go in there to get charged up with that vision.
There you go.
Right. And then I come out and I see God in everyone. That's now you're getting to some substance. Right. And so again, in this, we heard that Lord Vishnu say, I'm not in my abode. The superficial person thinks God's in the spiritual realm. I'm where where pure people discuss pure words about me, that you'll find me there. And this,
are you saying God's here? Is God here, Kastuba?
To the extent
is
that
God here?
To the extent that that's being done, yes. And so similarly here, it's saying that even those, these people are so special that they purify the holy places, right? Like they go there and they make those places pure. So that was the benediction that they asked for, that we want to always be around those kind of people. And then they give an example of a person that played that role in their lives. Maybe we can finish with this text, 38.
My dear Lord, by virtue of a moment's association with Lord Shiva, who's very dear to you and who is your intimate friend, we were fortunate to attain you. You are the most expert physician, capable of treating the incurable disease of material existence. On account of our great fortune, we have been able to take shelter at your lotus feet. Woo, what a verse.
Beautiful, right? So it's like Shiva, we bumped into him, he bumped into us. He started vibrating spiritual sound, and he gave us spiritual sound to vibrate. We started vibrating it, meditating on it, and it was the highest benediction for us. We just want to be around people like him, because when we're around people like him, we remember you, and that's the highest benediction. Nice, right?
And now we can do that for other people. It's Tell a Friend Tuesday. You forward this. You forward this podcast to some friend who's got some spiritual inclination. That's how this stuff spreads organically. I told a friend, then she told a friend, and so on. Who was that from?
That's some shampoo commercial.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the stuff we were listening to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a lot of nonsense up in my head.
Yeah.
I'm trying to clean it out.
All right. This is how we do it.
All right. Mara, you got something we can, I tend to forget things, Mara. You know that?
No, not you.
Vedic culture, they have these things called shruti dars. As soon as you hear them, you hold them. I am like a shruti dropper. I hear it and I drop it.
Shruti dropper.
Shruti dropper.
I got some little takeaways you can put in your pocket, Raghu.
I put them right in my pocket.
Yeah. What the world needs now is, what the world needs now is transcendental knowledge.
What the world needs now.
That was a setup.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's in our mind spills out of our mouth.
What's in our mind?
And not everyone, Raghunath, please.
Words can bind us or liberate us.
Words can bind us.
You can create the spiritual world in the material world by vibrating transcendental words.
Too wordy, too
long for a mug.
Yeah.
Hearing spiritual topics relieves fear and anxiety.
Hearing spiritual topics relieves fear and anxiety.
All right. You like it? You're calling people in with what comes out of your mouth.
Lucky.
See God in the heart of everyone.
Me likey.
Associate with the jewel.
Me likey.
Find the holy people.
Kastuba, you like that one? You likey?
I do.
Then say
And
it. Say you likey.
and,
Say you likey.
And
and bring an emergency kit for holiday bad association.
okay.
Ooh,
Oh,
me likey.
timely message.
All right. Kastuba likeys. Oh, people. It's another day, another Bhagavatam class. Every day, accountability, showing up, seeing you face to face. You want to join us face to face here on Zoom? You can do it. Oh, it's a little bit extra hard work. Why? Because we change the show sometimes. And, sometimes you don't get the message that we changed the show. You're trying to search around for it. But you know what? There's accountability. I see your beautiful faces every morning. Keeps me going. Today we had, how many people do we have on Zoom here?
We had
Yeah,
over 100.
Over 100 at one point.
Yeah.
Some people got bored and had to leave or had to go to work, but we appreciate you here and we appreciate you. And we appreciate all the people sending me secret messages during the course of the show. And that's what you can do by emailing Mara, wisdom of the sages 108 at gmail.com. And then she will send you
donate
the
a
code.
case. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Donate a
Close.
case of
Bhagavad Gita's today.
Bhagavad Gita's.
Live to give.
Live to give.
I forget how many cases. We did a lot of cases last year. It's like thousands of books. We can do it again. It's nice.
We can do
nice
it.
little contribution from
You
our
know what?
family, right?
Give the gift of direction. That's what Bhagavad Gita is. It's direction. The world needs now more than ever. All right. I'm going to sit in this holiday spirit here. Lots going on. A lot of moving parts. A lot of moving kids around. My kids are gone until Christmas Day. And I feel a little lonely because of that.
Okay, we're
I'm
here
just
for
going
you.
to share
right
that
now.
right now. I'm not used to this splitting up the kids. Not
Yeah.
used to it. It's all sort of like coming. Last year I was in total turmoil. Right now, Mara can tell you, I was a wreck last year at this time. Holiday seasons, going through a divorce. It was like heart-wrenching. Children involved, bitterness, confusion. I feel much more grounded this year.
You got a nice message from your son today.
Got a nice message. He said he loved me. What 15-year-olds say that? He also said, "Can I borrow $20?" Just kidding. Oh, and by the way, that was fun. Wow.
We got a big extravaganza coming up.
We have an extravaganza, and everyone's going to be in costume, woo! Including Kastuba. Gonna dress like the Grinch.
Just as you. I'm gonna get fake tattoos.
Oh, that's
big
interesting.
harmonium
Imagine if we
one.
dress like each other.
That'd be good.
Got the hat. Tuck it in my shirts. I bring my rocking chair. Rocking there.